All right, so what I'd like for everybody to do, if you haven't already logged into Blackboard, I want you to get logged into Blackboard, and let's go down to this assignment right here that says, what is a claim? And I want you to open that up, and then I'm going to pass out some notes for you. So if you'll get something out to write with. Take one of those, and we'll send it up and back. Take one. All right. So the very first thing we're going to look at here is this article called Understanding Claims. This is not from our textbook. It's just an extra article that I've included for us to take a look at. But when we're talking about writing and when we're talking about academic writing, and academic reading, and we're focusing on academic reading, reading for learning purposes in this unit, in Unit 1. The very first thing we need to do when we go to annotate a reading, or we're going to mark up something that we're reading, it's important to be able to identify claims. And so we're going to start off on this sheet here. We need to understand what a claim is first. So on this sheet that I passed out, we've got the very first sentence here says, the claim defines what the author wants you to, and then we've got 3 blanks. And I want you to fill in those blanks. A claim is what the author wants you to do, think, or believe. So on that document, let's come over here. I want you to write, do, think, or believe. By the time you finish reading his or her work. So what a claim is, again, it's when you're reading something and you're looking to identify an author's claim. The claim is what the author wants you to do after you've read their article, or what the author wants you to think after you've read their article, or what the author wants you to believe after you've read their article. A claim is also sometimes known as, and I'm going to write this up here at the top, a claim, I'm going to put equals a thesis statement. A thesis statement is a type of claim. Also, sometimes the main idea. So I'm going to put those notes up here at the top as well. Okay, now, the next thing, the article that we're looking at or reading, it talks about 3 qualities of effective claims. So when we're writing a claim or we're looking to identify something that is a claim, they have 3 important qualities. The very first thing is that they address important, relevant problems. So problems is our missing word there. So when you're looking for a claim in an article, you're looking for a claim that addresses a problem. You're also looking for something that is, and this is number 2, that is contestable. Contestable means that it can be questioned, that readers will wonder whether or not the claim is true. And finally, the last quality of an effective claim is that it is debatable. And what that means is that it has more than one viewpoint. You can think more than one way about a claim. Oops, more than one viewpoint. Okay. So let's talk about a little bit more about claims. Here in Blackboard, I'm going to go back in my Unit 1. And we've just read what is a claim. Now I'm going to go to 2.2, which is types of claims. Types of claims. All right, so this is from our textbook. This is from Anna Bill's How Arguments Work. And what she does in this part of her textbook is she's going to give us some clues and some sentence stems to look for when we're looking for claims in what we're reading. So she starts off by saying there are 3 types of claims. The first type is a claim of policy. So over here on your document, type of claim number 1, this is number 1 here, is a claim of policy. And the claim of policy is advocating for a particular action. Action is the key word here. So when you're reading an article, if you see sentences that look like some of the things that we have on this list in our notes, we ought to, we must, let's, the best course is, the solution is to, the next step should be, we should consider, further research should be done. All of these kinds of sentences that start out like this tell us that the author is making a claim of policy. They want something to be done about whatever topic it is they're writing about. So they're saying like, we should pass a law that, well, let's look at instead of me coming up with just a random example, let's look at some example sentences. So here are a few sample claims of policy. The very first one, landlords should not be allowed to raise the rent more than 2% per year. If you saw something like that in a sentence like that in what you're reading, that's the author making a claim of policy. They are, and remember, claims are things that address a problem. They are contestable. We can question them. And there may be more than one viewpoint, more than one way to think about the topic. And so we see here, it addresses a problem. Landlords raising rent is the problem that's being addressed. It is questionable. It's saying they should not be allowed to raise the rent more than 2% a year. Something that's questionable is like, why is it 2%? Why not 5% or 1%? Like, and then debatable means that there's more than one way to look at that, more than one viewpoint. So there can be people who say, yes, landlords should not be allowed to raise rent. And there are other people who say, no, landlords, should be allowed to raise rent. If people don't like that, they can live in, a different place. So this is, and it's a claim of policy because it wants us to act on it. It's saying they should not be allowed. And that being allowed is our action, whether or not they should be permitted to raise that rent more than 2% a year. This is another claim of policy. The federal government should require a background check before allowing anyone to buy a gun. So here again, it's we know it's a claim because it's addressing a problem. The problem would be background checks for guns. It's contestable. This is saying that background checks should be required before allowing a person to buy a gun. So like it's quite, the question there might be, well, what kind of background check are we talking about? What are we looking for? And then multiple viewpoints, it has to be debatable. There are two sides to that issue. Some people think background checks should be required. Other people think it should not be required. And then we have here, this is a claim of policy because it's saying an action. It wants you to require a background check. And then finally, we got another example. Social media accounts should not be censored in any way. So again, we know it's a claim because it addresses a problem, the censoring of social media accounts. It is contestable or can be questioned. What does censoring mean? Are you blocking the whole account, kicking them completely off? Or are you only blocking certain, certain posts? And then it's also, there are more than one viewpoint. Some people think, yes, those accounts should be censored. Some people think, no, nothing, it shouldn't be censored at all. And then this is a claim of policy because it's telling us an action. They're saying accounts should not be censored. So no censoring is what that claim is. It says also that a claim of policy can look like a direct command. such as, so if you are an American citizen, don't let anything stop you from voting. That command, even though it's not maybe phrased like this up here, it is a claim. It's a claim of policy. It's telling you as an American citizen, it wants action. Don't let things stop you from voting. It says, note that not all claims of policy give details or specifics about what should be done or how. Sometimes the author is only trying to build momentum and point us in a certain direction. So for example, schools must find a way to make bathrooms more private for everyone, not just transgender people. So what this claim here, it's not giving us a specific action that it's not telling us how to make bathrooms more private. Instead, it's just throwing an idea, kind of a general idea out there, and maybe they're going to build momentum later on in their writing. Claims of policy don't have to be about dramatic actions. Just asking the reader to discuss or research or write about whatever issue you're writing about is a kind of action. So for example, Americans need to learn more about other wealthy nations' healthcare systems in order to see how much better things could be in America. So here they're saying Americans need to learn more. So that's, again, not a dramatic action, telling you just something not necessarily specific. All right, so those are claims of policy. Let's turn the page here in your notes, and let's go to claims of fact. All right, claims of fact. This is type of claim number 2, a claim of fact. And a claim of fact is when you're looking at something and determining what kind of claim it is, a claim of fact, you should be asking yourself, is this claim describing the nature of something? Arguments do not always point towards action. Sometimes writers want us to share their, and this is the next thing, a vision of reality. They may want to paint a picture of how something happened, describe a trend, or convince us if something is bad or good. It says in some cases, the writer may want to share a particular vision of what something is like, what effects something has, how something is changing, or how something unfolded in the past. The argument might define a phenomenon, a trend, or a period of history. And it says often these claims are simply presented as fact, and an uncritical thinker or an uncritical reader may not see them as arguments at all. And I'm going to make another little note here. If this is an uncritical reader, this is somebody who is doing fast thinking. Just like we talked about fast thinking and slow thinking last week. Someone who is doing fast thinking will look at these statements or these claims that an author is making and just accept it as truth because they're not slowing down to think more critically about it. So for example, it says, consider the claim caffeine boost performance. Someone who is a fast thinker and not slowing down and trying to think critically about what they're reading will go, that sounds true. Caffeine boosts performance. Okay. And they'll accept it as, 100% total truth, total fact. However, if you slow down, this is actually a claim of fact. Caffeine boosts performance, but maybe, and it's a claim because it can be debated and there are multiple viewpoints on this. So for example, does caffeine really boost performance? How much does caffeine boost performance? How do we know that caffeine boosts performance? Performance at what kind of task? Does caffeine boost performance for everybody? Does it also have downsides? A writer could spend a whole book convincing us that caffeine really boosts performance and exploring exactly what they mean by those 3 words. So even though that may look like a fact, there is still, there's not a lot of evidence if we're just looking at those 3 words, provided that tells us that that should be accepted as 100% fact, no arguing. So again, that's why it's so important to do a lot of slow thinking and to examine the things that you're reading carefully and check to see if there are actually, if we're looking at somebody else's vision of reality or someone else's perspective on something, and there's not facts or evidence to back that up. Underneath that, it does say there are some phrases when we're looking at statements. We see here some phrases writers might use to introduce a claim of fact include things like research suggests that. So they're saying there's research and they're saying it suggests it, like that it's a suggestion, maybe it's up for some debate. The data indicates that, okay, the data is pointing to this way of this viewpoint, but maybe, that's where you'd want to examine that data more carefully. Where did the data come from? Can you trust it? Something is increasing or decreasing. There is a trend toward something. Something causes something. Something leads to something. All of those are claims that may be up for debate. And the type of claims they are claims of fact. Some examples here in our textbook of claims of fact is, and I'm just going to go over a couple of these. If you see something in an article and it says it's easier to grow up biracial in Hawaii than in any other part of the United States. If you're just reading that quickly, you may say, okay, they're telling me that this is their, what they think or believe, but it may be up for question. Like, it's not giving us how we measure if growing up is easier or hard. It's also why Hawaii than some other part of the United States. It's not telling us that. So there, again, this is presented almost like a fact. It's somebody else's perspective on something, but it can be argued. Let's do the last one here. Antidepressants provide the most benefit when combined with talk therapy. Okay. So we're talking about, like, it says the most benefit, but what kind of benefit are we talking about? What specific types of benefits? And here we see that antidepressants, they're providing some benefits when combined with talk therapy. What about other kinds of therapy? Do the antidepressants, provide there? So this, again, this is a claim of fact. All right, let's look at number 3. Last type of claim. This is a claim of value. This is type of claim number 3. Is a claim of value. And claims of value, if you're wondering what kind of claim something is, if it's a claim of value, it will answer this question. Is the claim primarily taking a stand on how good or bad something is? Is it giving a rating of something? And maybe another word we want to mark here. Are they sharing their assessment of something's value? You see claims of value in things like movie reviews or book reviews, Amazon reviews, Yelp reviews. Even you can consider a like on Facebook or a thumbs up on a text message as a claim of value, as a rating, whether you liked it, you gave it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. She does say here that claims of value are pretty easy to identify. Claims of value may look something like these examples. Something is terrible, something is disappointing, something's underwhelming, something is mediocre, something's average, something's decent, something's acceptable. We should celebrate something. Now, we see this word should in there, which can be kind of tricky because back on number 1, when we see the word should in claims of policy, it's a claim of policy if it's saying we should, and then it follows it up with some kind of action. Here, it's saying we should celebrate, and why celebrate is an action. You're giving approval or disapproval of it. If you're celebrating something, it's like you're applauding it, saying, great, yes, I agree, this is wonderful. So because of this word celebrate, that's what makes this a claim of value. If you say something is great, something's wonderful, something's fantastic, impressive, or something makes a substantial contribution to something, those would be examples of claims of value. All right, claims of value can also make and this is our last missing word here, comparison. So if in your articles you see something where they're comparing two things and saying one is better than, or one is worse than, or one is the same as something else, better or best, worse, better than, worse than, just as good as, just as bad as, those are hints to you that that's a claim of value. All right. To practice this, and I hope this works. It did not work in my morning class, so I'm hoping that this works for us right now. Yeah, okay. So on your device, whatever device you're on, we are going to play a quick game in here. If you don't look this up on your computer, you can also use your phone. You can scan the QR code and play on your phone. But we're going to play a game to test our ability to identify claims as either a claim of policy, a claim of fact, or a claim of value. So you can either, if you're on a computer, if you open up a new tab and you put www.kahoot.it and then enter in the PIN number, that'll take you to the game, or you can use your phone and go to a QR code here. We're going to test our knowledge. Give it a couple more minutes for everybody to get connected here. Okay. Everybody connected that needs to get connected? All right, we're going to start. Okay, hold on. The death penalty as applied in the United States is immoral. Is that a claim of fact, a claim of value, or a claim of policy? And you can use your notes. The death penalty is immoral. It's a claim of value. We had 6 right answers in here. All right, here we go. All right, next. We got JT at the top. All right, here we go. Fetal tissue research should not be funded by the United States government. Is that a claim of fact, a claim of value, or a claim of policy? Research should not be funded. It is a claim of policy. We had 13 people get that right. Good job. And now Carter has moved up into the lead. All right, let's go next. Number 3, Canada's public secondary schools do a better job than American ones because they have higher test scores. So Canadian schools do better than American schools. Is that a claim of fact, a claim of value, or a claim of policy? We're comparing those schools. Oh, it's supposed to be value. That was wrong. I need to go back in and change that one. Yeah, shoot. That should be value. Let me make a note here. My little card. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. Recovered memory should be disallowed as evidence in American courts. We're saying something should be disallowed. Is that a claim of fact, a claim of value, or a claim of policy? It's a claim of policy. We've got that word should in there. We had 13 get it right. Got Tabby up at the top here. All right, next. Generally, public secondary schools in America don't adequately prepare students for college. Somebody's viewpoint that high schools or secondary schools don't prepare students for college. Let me see here. I'm wondering if that one is wrong too. Assessment, and well, I'd say a claim of value. It could also be a claim of fact, but we are talking about whether the schools do a good job or not. So if that were a test, I would have taken both answers. All right, let's do another one. Mrs. Singleton is the best teacher there ever was. Just kidding. That's a trick question. Fact. Everybody got that right. No, but that's seriously a joke here. But if we were looking at this, what would it be? Fact, policy, or value? We're saying she's the best. Value. Yep, claim of value. How good or bad something is. All right, let's move on. Okay, next question. Kids need a mom more than a dad, so women with kids should not be sent to fight in combat. Is that a claim of fact, a claim of value, or policy? Women with kids should not be sent to fight in combat. We've got that should word in there. It is a policy, claim of policy. All right, next. Marijuana should not have been legalized in California. Claim of policy. Very good. Got that should in there again. Okay, next. Fetal tissue research is wrong. This is bad. It's just wrong. Is that fact, value, or policy? It is value. Saying something is good or bad is a claim of value. All right, next. It should be illegal to burn the United or the American flag. It should be illegal. It is a claim of policy. Good job. Now we're getting, almost everybody got those. You see that should word, it is a tip off that it's most likely, I'd say 95% of the time, a claim of policy, unless we've got that situation like we should celebrate. Okay. Next. Oh, Tabby's out of the lead. Now it's Carter. Let's see. All right. VU is safer this year because the crime rate is down 10%. VU is safer this year because the crime rate is down 10%. It's a claim of fact. It's telling us a percentage, which makes us, if we weren't to do the slow thinking, to go, okay, yeah, that sounds right. We use safer because crime rate is down 10%. But it's not telling us where that 10% number came from. What do we classify as safe? What is actually safe? We're not defining that. What are they considering a crime? You know, how are they defining crime? So that is a claim of fact. All right. Okay, next. Oh, it's close right up there at the top. Still, Carter and Tabby. Gabe not far behind. Blueberries help prevent cancer because they contain high amounts of antioxidants. Claim of fact again. Although it's presented to us as, again, if we're reading slowly, or if we're reading fast, if we're doing fast thinking and not thinking slowly, we can look at that and go, okay, that sounds right. Yep. But it doesn't provide any evidence or explanation of how having high amounts of antioxidants actually, do they actually prevent cancer? Or, you know, is something else that somebody's doing actually preventing cancer? All right. Next. Chocolate ice cream tastes better than vanilla. Chocolate ice cream tastes better than vanilla. You're making a comparison between chocolate ice cream and vanilla ice cream. Claim of value is correct. All right. Oh, it's locked up here. It's a 4-point difference at the top. All right, next, SUVs should be required to meet the emission standards of automobiles rather than trucks. SUVs should be required to meet the emission standards of automobiles rather than trucks. Very good. Claim of policy. We got that should in there. Oh, all right. Next, cloned animals are more susceptible to illness and genetic defects than ordinary animals. Claim of fact. Very good. It's presented to us as something that we just accept as true, but what kind of illnesses, what kind of genetic defects? What do we consider an ordinary animal here? All right. 16. Zoos that cannot meet a standard of care should not be allowed to remain open. Zoos that can't meet standards of care, they should not be allowed to be to remain open. Clack. Yep, policy. We've got that should in there, and an action. They should not be allowed. All right, last question. Between Tabby and Carter, I think. Number 17. Broccoli tastes better than Brussels sprouts. Claim of value is correct. Everybody got it right. Great job. Here's our podium. Third place, Julian. Second place, Carter. First place, Tabby. Good job. You can choose a sticker. All right. Good job. Okay. Okay, now, what we're going to do next, now that we've talked about the types of claims and what is a claim, if you're still confused about claims of facts, you're still confused about claims of facts, claims of value, or claims of policy, I have a video there. You're welcome to go and look at that later on. It gives you just somebody else's perspective or explanation on the topic. Sometimes watching or hearing something different in a different way can help you with that, to understand that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go down to assignment 1.6, active reading strategies. We're going to open this up. It's going to ask you, this is our first Google assignment. It's going to ask you to link a Google account to this Google Assignments tool. So that Google account I told you at the beginning of the semester that we would be using, if you will link your Google account, it'll give you an option to click link, and then it may ask you to link it again. What this is going to allow me to do is I'll be able to go into your document. We're going to write essays using the Google Docs tool, and I'll be able to go into your document and give you line by line, very specific feedback. If you're working on something at home, like you're writing a paper or you're doing a homework assignment, and you want me to go back and look at it, if you want me to go back and take a look at your work and to give you some feedback on it, I can do that, from home. I can go in, I can go right to your document. We can even chat. There's a little chat feature on Google Docs. I can chat with you that way. So it's a way, this tool is a way that really helps me to give you more quality and better feedback. Blackboard just doesn't do what Google Docs does yet. So I think they're working towards it, but all right. So right now, people I have linked here, I've got Katie, Gabe, Conrad. We got Tabby. I had to look, I'm getting names and faces and all those things. Briley, JT, Carter, I've got Nathan, Anthony, Kennedy. I've got Asher, Dagan, RJ, Anthony. I've got Marissa, I've got Carson, Carmel, Garrett. Let's see. that's it. Is there anybody who had problems accessing that or getting it linked? Okay. So what I need you to do right now, yours won't look exactly the same as mine, but it is going to, when you click on this, it's going to allow you to open up a file. You're going to open up that file link. I've got to make a copy so I'm not editing the copy that it's giving you. All you have to do is click on it. And what this tool does, it will actually name the file for you, so you don't have to worry about naming the file. If you've not used Google Docs in the past, it does automatically save things for you as you work in Google Docs. So you never have to worry about, oh, did I click save? Am I going to lose what I just put in? It'll automatically save in there. All right, so we're going to start 1.6 today. We're going to keep working on it in class on Thursday. But what we're going to do to start with is this is annotating a reading. We're going to be marking up a reading. Back in assignment 1.5 that we did last week on Thursday, where we had this active reading assignment and you went in and you answered all the questions about your topic. That's part of active reading, what we did in 1.5. The other part of active reading is actually marking on the text and annotating. And that's what we're going to do in 1.6. So before we can do 1.6 here, I need you to go back into Blackboard. We're going to go back into the topic that you selected. And I'm doing homework as my topic this semester. So I'm going to go into homework. And I want you to open up the article. You selected either one of 3 articles on one viewpoint or 1 out of 3 articles on another viewpoint. I want you to open up the article that you selected for assignment 1.5. You're going to do 1.6 using the same article. I had selected homework.
What about articles change?
Okay, if the article has changed, can you go back into your 1.5 and can you go in and see your answers, or is it waiting for me to grade it? Okay, so you've got to link the citation. Yeah. Okay, so once you've got this article open, now we're going to go into your 1.6. We're going to start by going below the line here, and we're going to copy and paste the article below this line. So you're going to come back over here. I'm going to start. I can't do all mine in one, like for whatever reason, it won't let me. Maybe, no, yeah, it wasn't letting me earlier today. Like it'll let me do, here's one chunk. I have to do this in chunks. You may be able to do them all at once, but I'm going to copy and paste that article over into 1.6. Bless you. So I want you to do the same thing right now. I want you to go in and take your article. You may have to copy and paste in chunks like me, or maybe you can get it all at once. You're going to copy the whole article. And we're gonna put all of that in document 1.6. And we're gonna use this document to do the other part of our active reading skills, where we're going to do some annotating. And Mills chapter 2 gives us a whole list of things that when we go to annotate, things that we should mark or make notes of. So far, all we've talked about is identifying and making notes about claims. That was the claims of policy, claims of fact, claims of value. So I'm going to put a little check mark next to identifying and making notes about claims. And for homework, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to submit 1.6 yet, because you're not going to be done with it today. We're going to keep working on it in class on Thursday. But what you're going to do is you're going to read this whole article. And when you see a claim, authors often make more than one claim. They may have 12 claims in their article that they make. The next step on Thursday is, once we get all the claims marked, then we're going to decide which one of those claims is the main claim, which one is the thesis statement, which one is the whole article about. Right now, all we're doing though is identifying claims. So you'll be going through here and looking for claims. I'm going to give you an example here. It's talking about, it is drudgery. They say rote work that unnecessarily burdens children. That's a claim about homework that my author is making. They're saying that it's boring, that it's unnecessary, it puts burdens on children. I would say that is probably a claim of value here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to annotate this. I'm going to go to that section of my article. I'm going to move my mouse and I'm going to highlight it. I'm not going to highlight it in Google Docs. I'm just going to move my mouse over and select it. That's going to make this comment box pop up over at the side. And in the comment, I'm going to write claim of value. And I'm going to click comment, and that's going to put that note there. So for homework, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go through and read your article and identify as many claims as you can in your article. And you're going to put a little comment out to the side, whether it's a claim of value, a claim of fact, or a claim of policy. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm not looking for a certain number of claims. Sometimes, some articles may have 20 claims. Some articles may have 3 claims that they make. There's not a right or wrong number. But this is just some practice for you to see if you can go in and identify those.
This is just one article.
Just the one article. When we come back then on Thursday, we're going to start working through the rest of this checklist, and we're going to keep making notes in 1.6. So don't turn anything in with 1.6 yet. Wait until Thursday, and we're going to keep working with that. All right, any questions? All right, y'all are free to go. I will see you in class on Thursday. Yes.
Is there anything that was physically handed out the day I was on